Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Sports Spotlight. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on all things sports in the DMV. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. First on Pitt Sports Zone, Apostle Frank Burton Jr. of Delaware State shares how faith, leadership, and service show up off the field. On Legacy Maker Sports, Darrell Owens chats with Richmond Flying Squirrels Communications and Broadcast Manager Blaine McCormick for a conversation on life, sports, and more. Then on Ravens Verdict, check out the sights, sounds, and press conferences from inside the start of training camp. Lastly, on Washington Commanders Update, hear the insights on the firing of Ben Steele and the retirement of linebacker Nick Bellore from Candi Waller on All Burgundy and Gold Errrything. Don't go anywhere, and as always, enjoy this week's episode of Bowie TV's Sports Spotlight.
What's going on, everybody? Y'all know what it is, man. It's your boy Pitt Sports Zone, coming to you on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Welcome. Today is the first of many. We're talking Faith on the Yard, a conversation with HBCU chaplains. And today we are indeed blessed to have my guy, Mr. Frank Burton Jr., athletic chaplain for Dell State University. How you doing today, man?
Pitts, man, it is a pleasure to be on with you, man. Thank you for taking out the time to do this. It is so well needed because a lot of people don't know what chaplains do. But I love the intro, man. I was just vibing off the intro, and I was laughing because I looked and, that old association with Bowie State, and then I just started thinking about when I was back in school. I still have a record that stands today in baseball against Bowie State. 8 stolen bases in one game. We're
gonna have to talk about that.
Oh, we're gonna talk.
We're gonna have to talk about that. And before we move forward, again, appreciate everybody for joining us on this Friday. If you can lend us your ear for a good 20 minutes, and you can hear more in depth, more about Mr. Frank Burton Jr., but also about the role and responsibilities of chaplains as it pertains to our prestigious HBCUs. So welcome to the very first episode of Faith on the Yard, a new series where we go beyond the scoreboard to highlight the men and women who are making the impact in HBCU athletics through faith, leadership, and service. Today, I'm honored, as you know, to be joined by Mr. Frank Burton Jr., and he is, again, the athletics chaplain at Delaware State University. While fans see the touchdowns, championships, and celebrations, there is someone working behind the scenes, providing spiritual guidance, encouragement, and hope to student athletes, coaches, and staff every single day. Chaplain Burton, thank you for taking this time to join us. It's a pleasure to have you as the first guest on Faith on the Yard with Pitt Sports Zone.
Thank you for having me, Big T. I appreciate you, brother.
So let's go ahead and do a couple of icebreakers, right? I'm gonna switch it up for you. Your icebreakers are going to be different than what I'm usually doing.
Okay.
When it pertains to the students, right? So, what is one of your favorite gospel artists? Who is one of your favorite gospel artists?
Right now, I am listening to Jason and Jonathan Nelson. I love to listen to their songs, man. They take me there. Hold on. But I got my favorite right now. I got to say this because I'm talking to some Maryland boys. My favorite is Marette Brown Clark. She is she's a great friend of mine. I've known Marette for about 24 years.
Okay. So for me, I love Maverick City. Love Kirk Franklin. I think for me, I love worship music.
Yes.
Something that there's a song by Maverick City and Kirk Franklin called Kingdom. The one I use actually.
I love it.
That song is one of the songs, even every time I need to go into a secret place, that's one of the songs. And then Constant, in addition to William McDowell and JJ, and then, it's so many, but, right now, as you said, all right. So what is one of your dream destinations or a place that you visited that you like to visit?
Well, that's easy. My dream destination, number one, is Africa. because of
Okay.
Netherlands. So I want to go back to Senegal, around Senegal area where the slaves left out. But then
Okay.
secondly, I want to do a missions trip to the Holy Land and Asia Minor, where the Apostle Paul went, as well as Rome. Just want to be
Yeah.
able to see what the disciples saw, what Jesus saw.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I actually just finished a series on Prime called The Chosen.
Wow.
One of my friends put me on it, and I can say I binged it for a good 2 weeks, and now I'm ready for it to kick back in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
lastly, what is one of the most what is something, if there was one thing that there is a misrepresentation about chaplains in athletics, if there is one, what would that be?
I think the misrepresentation, and I'm glad you have me on to talk about that, is that people are afraid of the word chaplaincy because they associate it with religion or pastor. Um, but one of the misrepresentations is that we come in to preach to somebody, to convert somebody, to make somebody think the way that we are, the way that we think. And
Yeah.
what we do as chaplains, we're non-denominational. We don't try to force our beliefs on anybody. I have my strong beliefs in as a Christian, and I'm going to withhold that, but I don't enforce that because we're interdisciplinary. We minister to
Yeah.
all faiths, right? And so, but basically, the biggest thing I would say, Big T, is that in all of chaplaincy, in all of ministry, there's a one phrase. It's called the ministry of presence. And that's whether somebody loses a game, that's whether somebody loses a loved one, that's whether somebody's having a bad time. Sometime as a chaplain, if I'm just present, sometimes I don't even need to say a word. Just my presence being there with them means a million.
Comfort.
Yes, yes, sir.
Comfort. If you can, and I appreciate you for the icebreakers, we'll go ahead and jump right into the questions that I prepared for you. And I seen that you were on my guy show, HBCU Originals. Shout out to my guy.
Big Vince. Big
Shout
Vince.
out to my
You
guy
know?
Vince, man. And it was crazy because I didn't know that you were on that show too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just ironic how it all works out. And especially somebody that I have a high regard for and the work that he do. Every time I see him at an HBCU campus, is a great guy. So again, shout out to Vince, man. But if you can briefly tell us about your journey, right? Tell us, who is Mr. Frank Burton Jr. beyond the title of chaplain?
Yeah. As I said before, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I've been a coach. And I am really a spiritual coach to many. Started out at University of Delaware. Actually started out in high schools, my kids' high schools, and then University of Delaware as a chaplain, which is a PWI.
Yeah.
And when my boys went away to play football, one went to Ball State University in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Got involved in some stuff out there with those young men over there. And my baby son went to University of Virginia. Um,
Yeah.
Actually, you're talking about chaplaincy and if it's needed or not. A lot of people stay away from it. Nah, we don't want to chat. We don't want. But when stuff goes down, it's almost like being a negotiator as an FBI agent. When stuff goes down, you're right
Mm.
there. I remember in 2017, my baby son, my youngest son, got a full scholarship to University of Virginia, and in his first summer there, August 12th, I never forget it. Woke up in the morning, turned on the television. Ku Klux Klan was marching on their campus. I looked at
Mm.
my wife. I said, I don't know about you, but I'm gone. Got locked
Yeah.
and loaded, went down there. They closed down the whole campus. You couldn't get on the campus. They had moved the kids to athletic facilities and wouldn't let anybody in. Went down there with my wife, talked to the security guard, told them who I was, retired FBI agent. They let me in, and the coaches actually appreciated. I got a chance to minister to the team at that point. So when they really needed it, it was
Yeah.
there. So a misconception is we're there to try to convert people or to preach to people. I'm just there to be a support to the students.
Yeah. And with that, and I appreciate that, because everybody is, you're a football team is a group of individuals with different personalities, different characteristics, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different things and places and system that they regard to. How do you how do you earn their trust, right, in these moments? Because like you said, a lot of people think, oh, you're trying to put me in this box of, however they want to see it, Christianity or whatever it is. How do you earn the trust of the players and the staff, during those moments?
Yeah. The first thing you have to do is you have to be relative when you come there. And being relative is you have to be, you're talking about building rapport. You have to be reachable, but you also have to be transparent, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that most chaplains, athletic chaplains will tell you, and there's another misnomer that people don't know. A lot of us have played, right, sports and at high levels and have done some things. But coming back to school and chaplaincy to be able to minister to these young players, it ain't about what you did. It's not about that you're there. I don't go there talking about I'm in a Hall of Fame for baseball and football. And when we did, I'm there to say, listen, I hear what you're saying about your difficulties and your frustrations about not winning Delaware State in all these years.
Yeah.
But let me help you out, because not about my accolades, but I was on a team like this. I was on a team at Delaware State University that lost 105-0 to Portland State. Neil Lomax in 1980, who ended up playing for the Cardinals. My first year coming into Del State, that's what I'm coming into. Right?
Wait, this was a baseball game?
No, this was football.
Oh, a football game, 105.
Go back and look at it. 1980, Portland State, Delaware State University, Neil Lomax. He beats Delaware State. And we're the laughing stock. It's on ESPN. I see this on ESPN. And so I can relate to the kids' frustration about not winning, being a laughing stock, but being intuitive enough to have the fortitude to stick in there and work hard and change the whole program around in 3 years. In 3 years. By 5 years, we won the championship.
Wow. Okay, so before we delve deeper, if you can, just explain some of the roles and responsibilities.
Well,
of a chaplain.
No, I'm sorry. You said a lot of it when you were introducing me. It is to provide spiritual guidance to the players, to the coaches, to the staff, to the students. I'm also a campus chaplain as well. So we do baptisms, we do Bible studies. I've done weddings. Whenever somebody needs just spiritual guidance or spiritual support, that's what we do. You think about it, you name it, we do it.
Has the role evolved, right? Because I think we're walking into a time where now, back when I was younger, young men didn't express, mental health. They didn't express it. We weren't taught to be vulnerable, right? And now you're walking into a sport or sports where the pressure is higher, the expectations are win now, right? You have NIL opportunities, you have injuries, and then you throw in the mental health challenges. How do you navigate reaching, because you have so many different athletic programs, right? How do you navigate and those moments of, when and how without stretching yourself thin? Because one, not being biblical, but you're pouring into, so I imagine there's somebody pouring back into you in order for you to pour back into the student athletes.
Yeah, you cannot pour from an empty well. That's the biblical precedent, and you have to have somewhere to get refilled. I have a mentor, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. His name is Rick, and he is amazing at what he does. He comes and he fills me up. I meet with him once a month just to get spiritually tuned up, is what it is. But the thing is, you have to be a good listener. You have to know how to set boundaries too, because you're talking about a university that has maybe over 18 different sports, right? So naturally, I'm not going to go to every sport, but you got to pick and choose what sports need you. You offer your assistance, right? You don't go where you're not needed. That's a whole nother biblical precedent. If they don't accept you, wipe the dust off your feet, because some people just don't want to deal You say chaplain, they say no. You say, okay, if you need me, I'm here. So
Yeah.
you go to the ones who express interest, but you have to be a great listener in anything. When I was in the FBI, I was a hostage negotiator as well. If you can't listen, then you can't build rapport. And if you can't build rapport, then you can't build trust. And if you can't build trust, you can't build behavioral change.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your guy, Darrell Owens, and we're back for another edition of One-on-One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie television in Bowie, Maryland. Look, we're in episode 3 of season 7. You know, had that little hiatus, took a couple months off to get ready for season 7, and, you know, we've had 2 amazing guests so far, and Nate Burleson kicking the season off, and then we also had Coach Roussell, the new head coach of Virginia women's basketball, the Cavaliers' brand new head coach. And today we had to to keep the connection going a little bit. We're going to have these next couple of weeks, you're going to see a string of Richmond Spider related vision going on here to an extent, but also we got a guy coming in today, an amazing play-by-play broadcaster. He is the communications and broadcasting manager for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. And I cannot wait for you guys to be introduced to some who know the amazing Blaine McCormick. Cannot wait to get into it. We've shared a broadcasting table together, calling women's college basketball for the Richmond Spiders, and we've gotten to see some great basketball over the years. But I can't wait for you guys to get to know Blaine a little bit better. And so we appreciate Blaine for coming on. We cannot wait to bring you episode 207 of One-on-One, and it begins now.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to One-on-One at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 207 on One-on-One begins now. Season 7. And look, we are so glad to be with you all. Very, very, very pumped up about it because I have my man with me today. And I'm super, super excited to have him with me. My man, Blaine McCormick. Blaine, how are you doing, brother? Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm doing so well, Darrell. Thank you for saying amazing about me because that is not at all what I am.
Come on. But don't y'all let him try to blow some smoke up y'all. Look, I'm telling you, look, I've told people, or I've been telling people in my inner circle, these next couple of episodes mean a lot to me because I've learned a lot from the next 3 people here in my time of being able to sit beside them at the broadcasting table for the Richmond Spiders women's basketball team. And Blaine is a part of that puzzle. And I'm so glad. I remember months ago, I said, Blaine, I got to have you on. Blaine's like, yeah, of course. So I'm glad to have him on and kind of talk about his career and how he got to where he is now. So Blaine, we once again, we appreciate having you on, my friend.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And it's been fun sharing a broadcast table with you too for those Richmond women's basketball games. It's been a blast.
And it has been a really good time. Can't wait for next season as well. Now, with that being said, we're going to start this off the way we start every one-on-one, and that's with the check-in. All right, Blaine. So with the check-in, we got to check in on you, your family, your friends. How is life right now for Blaine McCormick?
Oh, life is good, man. Life is good. We are in the midst of our first season at Carmax Park and also my 6th season with the Richmond Flying Squirrels. In July, it's nearing the All-Star break. And while we're recording this, we're 2 days away from our All-Star break that happens in July. No Eastern League All-Star games this year. The only real All-Star game is in Major League Baseball. I know. I wish they still did one, or at least like name mid-season All-Stars for us. But anyways, like we're approaching that mid-season All-Star break. So it's a good time to relax, refresh a little bit. Wife is doing well. Family is doing really well. They came out in June to celebrate my 30th birthday not too long ago. So it's
Happy
yeah,
birthday. Yes,
big
sir.
3-0.
Welcome. They call it the Dirty 30. Welcome, sir.
Wonderful,
There
wonderful.
you go.
But no, everything's great, man. Everything's great. We're gonna go see some of my wife's family over in West Virginia for a little bit during the All-Star break. So it's gonna be great, man.
Good time to rest and get your mind together. Look, love it. Absolutely love it. Now let's kind of dig into Blaine a little bit. Blaine, I want to know when you were 7, 8, 9 years old, what made Blaine McCormick fall in love with sports? What triggered it? Was it, your parents? Was it could have been, some sport? What triggered your love for sports?
Yeah, I think at that point when I was, 7, 8, 9 years old, I was a really hyper kid and always running around, whether that was at the house or running around with a stick or something like that in the backyard. Didn't play a whole lot of video games at that age. I think that kind of came later when I was more in like middle and high school. But falling in love with sports was one, getting the energy out. And I really have to credit my parents with that because they said, look, whatever sport you want to do, go ahead and do it. Like try it out. Even if you don't like it after day one, that's okay. Like my mom still tells this story when I was in like little itty bitty soccer, like 4 years old. Went out for one day and came back over and she was like, well, how'd you like it? I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I didn't get the ball. I didn't get the ball that day. So I didn't play soccer after that tragic day when I was four
Just
years old.
cardio. Just cardio.
Just cardio. But I started with t-ball and then kind of worked. I still played baseball even in high school. Um, did a lot of basketball, did some flag football here and there. I didn't do tackle football. And then when I got to high school, I started to pick up tennis and then golf a little later on into my professional career. So I've always had an interest in sports. I've always had a fascination. But I credit my parents with that, and I credit my dad and my grandfather because I remember we would sit down and watch Denver Broncos football games a lot. And grandpa had this collection of a whole bunch of Broncos memorabilia that included just about every card edition of John Elway. He was a
Wow.
huge John Elway fan. And the two Super Bowls that the Broncos won back to back, I was pretty young at that point. I think I was
Mhm.
2 and 3 when they won those two Super Bowls back to back. So I don't really recall that, you know, memory by memory, but I do remember just sitting on the couch watching Broncos games with my family, with my grandfather, my grandmother, my parents, and a lot of my friends. And that's where I really fell in love with sports and like the process of seeing a team come from the beginning of the season and then going into the playoffs and into the championships. Because there were some years that the Broncos made a lot of deep runs into
Right.
the postseason and into those Super Bowl runs. Didn't always work out for them, but they've still been a team that I have always had a fascination with. And that's what kind of grew into baseball, into basketball, and into hockey.
Well, good thing is this in your adult career, you've seen at least two runs that you can say that you saw. You saw one last year that was close. If Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, we're more likely they're in the Super Bowl. And that's what my prediction was. I had Denver going to the Super Bowl. I thought they were ready to make another run at it. So you at least got to see some in the last couple of years. I can tell you who
Yeah.
does remember that first Broncos Super Bowl. This guy, because I was a Packers fan. I was 12 years old. We had just come off winning the Super Bowl the year before. And I was just like, man, back to back, this is it. And I remember watching the game. It was on NBC. I watched it from beginning to end. And I just remember saying to myself, like, it just wasn't meant to be. The couple things
Hmm.
turned their way. I'll never forgive them just letting TD walk into the end zone untouched. I knew why they did it. Because it was like, if they don't, they're just going to hold the clock out and they're not going to have a chance to score. So they just let them score with like a minute to go. And just you say, hey, look, we're going to give it to Brett. And hopefully they can figure it out. And in my mind, because I've always had so much confidence in the Packers and Brett Favre, I'm like, we're going to score. We're going to go to overtime. Be the first overtime in Super Bowl history. Wrong. The Denver defense came up, did what they needed to do, and they went on. Instead of us being back-to-back champions, they went on to become back-to-back champions. So I
Yeah.
remember it clear as day. So if you don't remember, Blaine, I will remember it for you, sir.
I appreciate that. Now I
Yeah, no,
remember it because of
yeah.
you.
Let's take a journey. I want to take a journey from high school until now. I want to know. Take us on a journey from from Arizona State to the broadcasting school, the Walter Cronkite Broadcasting School, up into where you are now, being the communications and broadcasting manager for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Can you take us on that journey?
Yeah, sure. I guess my interest, if you're talking about high school being the starting point, my interest in this career started right around then, like my junior year of high school. There was a local TV station, which was an NBC affiliate, KKCO, that I just kind of got in touch with, and the sports director at the time, Phil Stafford, he was a friend of a friend or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I got in touch with him and was like, "Hey, can I just like talk with you and just see what it's like being a sports reporter in TV?" And he was like, he was all open arms about it too. Like he invited me down to the station, let me job shadow him while he was writing his scripts, doing his on-air hits and stuff. And this was during their like 6 o'clock show. So that was really cool to get like a firsthand impression of like what this industry can be. Um, and it was really great to pick Phil's mind about that too, because he was really young in his career at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then after high school, I was like, okay, I actually really want to do this. And I decided to go to Arizona State because they had a really good scholarship for me. Academics, not athletics at all. I was nowhere near good enough to play college baseball or college anything, really. Did some intramural games, which I'm really proud of.
There you go.
But
There you go.
went to Arizona State and really wanted to pursue journalism. And they had a great journalism school in the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. I decided to do that, and I really wanted to be like a sports center anchor, and kind of like how Stuart Scott was, because I grew up watching him on Sports Center and going through highlights, like reflecting on these awesome stories of the day. And I really liked baseball, so wanted to like really get into that with Sports Center and stuff. And then I started to do a few games for the college radio station, the student radio station. And the first ever game I did was a volleyball game. And I knew somewhat of volleyball,
Right.
didn't know the exact like X's and O's of it, but I had a roommate who was really, really intelligent about volleyball. And he gave me all the terminologies and walked me through everything. And I remember from that point on, I was like, I really like being in the middle of the action as a play by play broadcaster.
Mm-hmm.
So did a lot more reps with the student radio station, doing all sorts of sports, like from volleyball to hockey, to basketball, both men's and women's. We had opportunities to call those games. Got the blessed with the opportunity to call a couple of football games too for the Sun Devils on that student radio station. So there were a couple at home at Sun Devil Stadium, and then did one on the road at Colorado, over in Boulder, which was awesome. And then a lot of baseball games too. So Arizona State has a great baseball program. They were really good when I was there too. They
Yeah.
had the first overall pick in Spencer Torkelson when he got selected by the Tigers. I got to see him in college hit these big home runs out of Phoenix Municipal Park, and it was really cool to see that too, and be a part of it. And then from there, I knew I wanted to get into minor league baseball, because that was what I was told was kind of the route. Like, hey, go into minor league baseball, get your reps there, get connected with all the people in the baseball industry, and if you want to chase that dream of being a major league broadcaster. So I applied for dozens of jobs, and just like sent my tapes out. I was like, I'll graduate early if you needed to. I didn't know how, but I was going to figure it out to graduate early. But luckily, there was a short season team in Boise, Idaho, the Boise Hawks, and they interviewed me over the phone and did like a couple rounds of interviews with a couple of their staff members, and they chose me for the job. And their season started in June at that point with short season leagues. So the short season teams would go from early June to early September, collection of 76 games. So not
Right.
quite the 140 to 138 that we're at now in full season minor league baseball. I thought that was a really good first step for me as a broadcaster because you're doing it every day. You're doing
Mm-hmm.
these 3 and 4 game road series and you're having to travel all over the Pacific Northwest. It was a blast. And yeah, it was hard. Like it was tough some days. We also hosted the Northwest League and Pioneer League All-Star game that year. So there was more work on top of that to do and a lot of things to prepare for that game. But I got to broadcast that game in my first ever season in the minors. So that was really cool. Um, After that season, I went up to Spokane, Washington, and did some talent statistics for Gonzaga basketball. Mostly like when ESPN would come in or their TV crews, I would be off to the side and like write down stats to pass along to the talent. Um,
I'm going to start off really by thanking everybody in the organization, facilities people, equipment staff, all the people that, just help us be able to have this training camp, to have the setup that we have the facilities that we have. They make it super easy and simple for us to be able to do our job from a football standpoint. So just major shout out to them. Really good first day, really good energy. I felt like, said this before, like, the offseason really gave us a foundation to be able to, hopefully hit the ground moving. And so there's going to be a ton to learn off that first day's practice film. That's what training camp's about. We look forward to that. But we have the mentality right now, one day at a time, one step at a time, one little process at a time. So we'll go in, we'll be able to watch the film, we'll be able to walk through some stuff, we'll be able to install for tomorrow's practice, and be ready to roll. So with that, open it up for questions.
Out there, which looked like to be a good sign. What did you see of him, and does this mean that if everything goes well, regular season, he'll be ready for that start of everything?
Yeah, Nnamdi has now passed the physical and come off of the PUP list. It's still a process to get ready to play football, and that's something we're gonna work through over these next couple weeks. I think everybody has a good feeling about where he's at and where it's headed. But again, like those things, there's a timeline involved, and that could go, whatever. So super exciting to see that dude out there with his jersey on and his helmet. He looks great. He's been working really hard, and I think there's positive things to come with him.
Jesse, was the plan possible for a couple of weeks? You may just focus on individual and conditioning, right? Is that kind of what you're?
Yeah, I mean, again, like an individual coming off what he's coming off of, our ability to get him ready for a long season. When he's gone through the things in the offseason that he's gone through, I think that is our job, to protect the player and look out for the player. And so we'll try to do that to the best of our ability.
Hey, Coach, what is the biggest message you wanted to hear your players when they want to training camp?
Honestly, just the mentality that we're trying to take, man. It's a day-by-day process. You're not going to win because we're the Ravens. We're not going to win because we have XYZ players. We're not going to win because I'm the coach. We're gonna create our success based on the standards that we create, the process that we go through every day. How much better can we get between now and September? Then how much better can we get between now and November, now in December, now in January, all the way through to February. So that's really what we're focused on, competing with each other, making each other better, but also connecting and developing a real strong bond amongst the team. So that's our main objectives.
Jesse, probably more the technical question, but what have you seen broadly from him, how much he sort of lifts the energy being out there? What kind of involvement have you seen from him kind of, day one and leading up to this point?
Yeah, Lamar's incredible. Again, best player in the league. When he's out there and he's, obviously really engaged like he is, he makes everybody on the field better. So he makes the offense better. He makes the defense better for having to defend that type of player. All he's got to do is be himself. That's what he's proven that he is over the course of time. I do think sometimes when, you're trying to learn new things, like it really energizes you because you know that there's like a requirement to get where you want to get between now and the game. So I just appreciate the way he's gone about his business. And, he does a great job, man, just from being himself and the spirit that he brings, making everybody else better.
Yes, I know you've had some time to adjust to the head coaching role in spring and mini camp, but, especially on a day like today, do you kind of reflect on how different the approach is for you? It looked like you're kind of taking soft guys through the whole operation, kind of stepping back. How different is it from what you've done before?
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit different just from a job description standpoint, what I'm responsible for. I feel like I'm responsible for how the whole team plays. And whether all three phases, the style that we play, I'm not going to micromanage every scheme on all three phases of the game. You hire people to do a great job. Obviously, I'm going to have a more of a focus on one side of the ball. But it's my job to get us to operate the way that we need to operate, to play the way that we need to play, to prepare the way that we need to prepare. And so that part is awesome, man. It's awesome to, watch our offense operate in a ball security drill or routes on air, to see it go back and forth in team periods of, different sides making different plays. And so, the spring sort of gets your feet wet, but certainly, man, just the appreciation I have for this opportunity on the first day of training camp when you realize, that this is here and that all this is going on and all the fans are here. Much appreciation for the opportunity.
Yeah, it does feel real. Feel like I'm a lot comfortable. Feel great.
As you stack those years, because I know you've always wanted the ultimate goal and get it done, but do you feel year after year, does the urgency grow at all?
Absolutely, it does. Each and every year I'm getting older, not younger, so of course, it increases, but it starts now. Like I said, on the lounge, it starts now, training camp.
What do you think of the new practice times, the earlier times? What was that?
Oh, the new practice times, I love it. We hit the film room, walk through, we lock in, practice, get better. And then we go to walk through and meet and watch what we just did on the field, try to get better mentally. I'm enjoying it. I like it.
As opposed to last year in the middle of the day, how did you feel about that?
I really can't call how my body felt last year around that time, so I don't know. But right now, I'm loving it.
We didn't get to see Rashad Bateman out there with you guys doing mini camp and OTAs. What did it feel like to kind of get your usual starting group of pass catchers out there today?
I had my guy back, and he looked great. Running fast, great routes, great hands. One we should have hit, but it's practice. We're getting better, and I'm loving it. He looked great.
On the other side of the ball, seeing Nnamdi out there and looking like Nnamdi to this point, we know he's still ramping up, but what does that mean? Imagine for you is often knowing what he can bring on the other side, these things for you.
Man, it's great to have him back on the defensive line, help our secondary out. It's phenomenal. We needed him back, and thank God he's back, man, 100%. Can't say 100% yet. I don't know. I don't know about the medical, but he's back, and I'm looking forward to see him get a lot of sacks and disrupting a lot of offenses. Not ours, though.
Lamar, what's it been like developing a relationship with your new centers, Danny and Ethan?
Oh, those guys are grinding, man. Good competition. Those guys grinding. They're calling out the mic. Re-IDing the mic, calling out defense. They're doing a great job. We don't have one pass, so can't tell how they're blocking yet, but they're looking good. Mentally, those guys are sharp.
Lamar, not to bring up past years, just in the present, how much does it help to have a head coach who has prepared against you, who has game planned against you, and who's kind of a defensive-minded guy? Have you tapped into that at all, and do you plan to with Jesse?
That's funny you say that. I didn't think about, playing against Coach Jesse. That never hit my mind, but yeah, man, we talked about it. He put me to the side yesterday, and he was talking about just coming in and meeting with him so I could just see defense the way, how he called it and stuff like that, and other defense, not just him, But that's great.
So you think you'll meet with him on the regular about
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good idea for me to meet with him. Defensive mind, it's great.
Kind of along those lines, is there a real intentional kind of focus on those mental aspects and walk-through practices, and sort of how do you kind of feel about that? As a guy who's been doing this a long time already.
Absolutely. NFL, I feel like it's a mental game. It's good to be in shape and, to have all the physical aspects, but when your mind faster than everything that's processing on the field, I feel like you have a head start with everything you're doing. So I feel like the walkthroughs and everything like that, it correlates with getting on the field and playing each and every Sunday and even in practices. So definitely.
And then just the new offense, obviously it's different. Just how different is it for you in terms of what you have to learn, terminology, different plays? Was there any stuff you carried over, things like that?
No, I don't think we carried over anything, man. It's Dak like a wizard. You know, he's trying to get the best out of all of us, you know, not just the quarterbacks, but every aspect of the offense. And I feel like he's doing a great job at that, challenging us each and every play. You know, even with the huddle, how the huddle is set up, he's challenging us, man, get to the line of scrimmage fast, execute, break down the defense, process everything fast. It's like process of elimination when we get into the line of scrimmage, so it's great.
Are you ready to start getting the contract questions out of the way and not have to answer them, or is this going to play out throughout the season?
It's always you, Jared.
I'm asking on behalf of the fans.
But yeah, man, I'm going to keep it the same way I've been keeping it, you know, not here. You know, it's private between me and the gym. Yes, sir.
Did you notice Patrick's new deal? And obviously, there's some other guys that will have new deals probably next year.
No, to be honest, I really haven't been paying attention to anything on social media, except the 69 thing, the ratings, whatever it is. But I seen that, you know, people were tagging me in that, so that's why I was able to see that. But I really don't be following anything like that, though.
I know Nnamdi still has some things to go, but he was out there fully dressed. As someone who's probably seen him a lot in that locker room and trying to get ready, what do you think it means to him? What do you think this means to the team to see him return?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing just seeing him out here in the building, in the locker room. He's such a vibrant personality, and you realize when he's here and when he's not here, and that's all for the better when he is here. You know, he's never bringing any sort of negative attitude, and it's just awesome seeing him back out here going through the process.
Was it a surprise when he showed up, or you knew he was going to be here day one?
You know, I mean, during the time he was dealing with all that stuff, it was middle of the season, so, I mean, checking on him here and there, but at the end of the day, that's his business. I'm not trying to put myself in his business. Also HIPAA, so I'm not trying to violate any HIPAA rules, so just do my job.
Kyle, just knowing how dominant of a player he is and just what he's accomplished in the past, how big of a boost would be if he does get to the point where he can?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's one of the most talented people at his position in the league, and I don't think it takes a genius to realize that we'll get better when he's on the field. So, you know, it allowed for a lot of younger guys to step up and get some reps, some much-needed reps going into this year. But, you know, we're all hopeful to get him back as soon as possible.
Kyle, does it take getting used to having your defensive coordinator? He's not the play caller, the head coach. It's a different dynamic. Or what is different about that? Anything for you personally in that way?
Yeah, I've never had that in my football career. You know, Jesse makes it somewhat seamless, and the adjustment process was minimal if there was any. You know, we came in and just announced to the defense, yeah, I'm calling it. Weave's going to help out a ton, and all these other guys in the room are going to be integral in every part of what we do, but he's calling the plays. And at first we were, I don't know, nobody was really thinking that much of it, really. You know, it just kind of happens, and he's over on the side calling the plays, and we're just doing what we got to do. But at the end of the day, as long as the plays getting called, then I think we're having a good time.
What's your take or your perspective on the tone that Jesse has set at the start of camp with the team?
Yeah, I think it's a very positive outlook. I think it's a glass half full, optimistic type of outlook. And I think that's something that, you know, guys don't take lightly. It's a stressful league we play in. It's a stressful job. I mean, as stressful as playing professional, I guess, tag for a living is. But, you know, it's kind of a pressure cooker that we live in on a daily basis, and he tries to take a lot of that out of it by just maximizing our opportunities when we're out there, understanding that we have to work hard, but at the same time, he takes care of us and puts us in positions to be successful and doesn't put everything on our plate every single day. You know, it's little things at each time, and I can see us slowly crescendoing throughout the season. So I'm excited for the outlook that he has and the outlook that everybody on the team has.
You know, I know you guys aren't hitting yet, but obviously one thing or two things you can check is now is communication. Also, are guys where they're supposed to be? I know you guys are going to look at films right now and see how you did, but just playing live on 11s, I mean, where do you guys feel as a defense on those two things right now?
I think we feel really good. I mean, the guys who've come in that haven't been here, learning a new system, have learned it in, I think, like record time since I've been here. You know, like Jalen Hawkins comes in and he's barking out calls like he's been here my whole time that I've been here. And it's really helpful, and I think that kind of pushes me and pushes people who have been here to kind of keep a standard up. You know, and we're all pushing each other every day. I feel like the defense specifically is at a level right now where communication is very high. And at this point, like you said, that's really all you can do. Obviously work technique and man-to-man stuff, you know, it ramps up throughout camp. But just communicating and being on the same page. And we have a bunch of just qualities about a good defense that we preach in the meeting room that Weave always preaches. And first thing is communication, connection. And, you know, you're not going to get very far if you don't have either of those. So I think we've done a great job of that so far.
Kyle, you've been here obviously a handful of years and going against Lamar in practice during that time. What have you seen from him, you know, this year, maybe compared to past years? Has anything kind of stood out? Obviously, I think there was talent, but is there anything that just kind of stands out to you when you've watched him?
Yeah, I think you know, it's the one, I guess, just technically, schematically, the under center, it feels very natural from my perspective for him. Just play fakes, running out of every handoff like he has the ball. It's just little stuff like that he's been very intentional about. From a, I guess, ability standpoint, you know, I feel like he might have gotten faster somehow. I don't want to age him, but he's turning a certain age next year, and you know, it doesn't seem like that. You know, he's we'll keep that age between us, what age he's gonna be, but I feel like he got faster. I feel like he ran today. It was really fast. I don't know if you guys saw that, but maybe that's just how he always runs. But he's just like our season. I feel like he's going to get better throughout the whole year, and the more comfortable he gets in what they've got going on, which I have a ton of faith in. I'm talking to those guys. They have a ton of faith in it. I feel like he's just going to get that much better.
Tonight we're going to talk about, before we get into camp, some of the big storylines, we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders firing or parting ways with tight end coach Ben Steele. We're also going to talk about Nick Belleroy being placed on injured reserve, retiring. All right. We're also going to talk about the depth chart and the competition and the presser today from Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. So we got a lot to talk about tonight on All Burgundy Go Errrything, leading into tomorrow, which is the first day, all right, of Commanders camp. Veterans reported today. Rookies reported earlier this week. So it's a lot to get into. But, Candi, let's get into some of the news first. The Washington Commanders parted way with Ben Steele, the tight end coach who got a DUI. But they also hired also named the new tight end coach today, as Wes Walker will become the new tight end coach for the Washington Commanders. How will this impact the Washington Commanders moving forward? We talked about early in all out of our earlier shows that this tight end room is very important, right? Very important. How is this going to impact the tight end room going into the week of camp where you got to fire your tight end coach? And who does this impact the most?
And so I want to back up because Coach Quinn did share that I guess they have not changed Wes Welker's title. Okay. Like he just said he's going to be working with the tight ends.
Working with the tight ends, gotcha. So
I don't think he's the tight ends coach. He's going to be working with the tight ends. Now, here's what's interesting because I do want to give some background context. We had media availability with the offensive coaches and the defensive coaches. When the offensive coaches meeting day, I specifically wanted to talk to Ben Steele. I mean, he's the new coach, right, on the team. He wasn't there. I asked where he was. And the first thing that was said was, Candi, you are very observant. Like, you are so observant. And I was like, yes. Where is he? And they were like, let me check. Okay. I didn't think of anything of it, but I was like, all right. And then they came back and was like, he had a schedule conflict. All right. I was like, all right. Because I'm like, wow. I mean, hey, things happen. But I'm like, they normally, I mean, this is presser, media availability. This is like something you're supposed to do.
It's on it's on your calendar before today. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Like everybody out, like people kind of do this. So I was like, all right. The following week was mandatory minicamp. I saw Wes Welker on the first day of minicamp working with the tight ends. I did not see Ben Steele. And I was like, okay. All right. The second day when I saw it, I had our photographer, I said, hey, listen, do me a favor. You see these guys over here? So I'm like giving her the numbers of the guys. And take a picture over there. Take a picture of this, please. Take these pictures. Because I was like, I don't know where he is. But he's not here for a very good reason. Mm-hmm. And at first, people get sick, things happen, so you really don't know. You're going to be like sensitive. But I knew instantly something was wrong. Now we know what it was. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I wanted to make sure we got the picture because I'm like, Wes Welker's been working with the tight ends. And that was at a critical point, in the off season, in the OTA season and in mandatory minicamp. So he's going to continue on doing that. So for me, I'm kind of like, well, there's some there's some continuity there because they've been working with them. And the timing lines up, right? Because this stuff happened either June 6th or June 7th. Like I said, I noticed it on June 10th when he wasn't available for the offensive coaches media availability, and then the following week, what is that, June 16th, 17th, 18th, or whatever dates those were, he wasn't there. So this will be interesting because going back to Wes Welker, when I asked him, because he was one of the coaches that I did a one-on-one with for those offensive media availabilities, he said he kind of does whatever they're asked him to do, because I asked, like, what do you do? He said it much better than I just said it there, but he was like kind of wherever he was needed. And so that's why I kind of tweeted, well, guess he was needed. So they've plopped him there. It will be interesting though, from a coaching perspective, because Coach, David Rye, the technically former Titans coach, he's still on the staff, right? And he's the pass game coordinator. So we'll see what happens here. It will certainly be interesting. And I think it was just best for them to part ways because this is a lot there.
Definitely, it's definitely a lot there because, again, I think that one player that it impacts the most, in my opinion, is those guys that are trying to make the team. I really want to say Ben Stinnett is the player that I think impacts the most because, again, tight end Ben Stinnett is. I'm gonna say it, Ben Stinnett is trying to make this football team, right? It is a tough tight end room. You have guys fighting for essentially maybe two spots because we already know that Chick has one of those spots, right? Chick is the tight end. They maybe carry 3 tight ends at most, right? Mm-hmm. And so their spots. You got Yankoff, you got Ben Stinnett, you have what's the other one? I'm missing one.
With Yankoff, Ben Stinnett. I mean, we know John Bates and Chig, but Lawrence Cager as well. Lawrence Cager, right. His name has consistently come up, Lawrence and Cager. I know in Diami's video, he was with them in LA working out.
Right. So you got 4 or 5 guys who's fighting for 2 spots. So again, the tight end coaching, the standard, what they're looking for in the tight end room is going to be important. My question to you also, Candi, is this: was this a Dan Quinn decision because of the standards and accountability of the team? Did this come higher up? Was this more of an Adam Peters, Josh Harris decision to go ahead and let Coach Steele leave?
Well, I think when it comes to some of these types of decisions, I mean, it's DQ's staff. So once it gets to his coaching staff, he can make the decision. I'm sure, he seeks counsel like he shared before, like he might ask Adam his advice or something of that nature. But I think it is what it is. It hasn't shifted where this team has a standard, and it happens on and off the field. And it happens with players and staff. Everybody must be held accountable. And, hey, they were coming up on this part of the season in media, may as well part ways now because this isn't going to be good for you. And that's going to, it's going to be a bunch of questions, right, about that. And then it'll be people like me that's going to be like, well, wait, where is Coach Steele? Mm-hmm. So, and it's not a good look just from an overall example perspective. Each one of them, they take a lot of pride in being who you say you are and what their standard is. And so it matters, and they're not going to have any tolerance for it.
Gotcha. George, questions?
You've proven yourself as a reporter, as somebody that is balanced, trying to tell what's going on with being somebody that understands that stuff's on background and has used discretion. Do you get frustrated when the team is unwilling to be straight with you on something like that? When you're not one of these people that's going to burn somebody in a situation like that? Because you obviously noticed, and they even made a point of saying you're very observant. Did the fact that they weren't straight with you on something like that frustrate you at all as a reporter?
No, it didn't, because here's the reality. I could have Googled him. At that point, I was like, I could just Google his name because there's a reason why he's not here. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's just being honest, right? Like certain situations, and it also depends on who I ask, right? If that makes sense. Like I knew who I was asking, but I also knew something was wrong. Like something, is not right, because there has been times where there may have been a coach, and his name escapes me right now, and I feel bad about it, that I can't remember his name, where a coach was ill, like was dealing with a serious illness, and they ended up telling us, maybe not in a press conference or anything like that, but that's not the first time stuff like that has happened. You know what I mean? Like it just depends on who it is or what the situation is, and maybe because it was a legal thing too, right? Like this is like legal, and definitely
it's the sort of thing they could have told you off the record and on background, and I think you would have handled it.
Oh yeah, they know I'm not a snitch. They know I'm not gonna tell nothing. I wasn't saying nothing, but it was funny to me because I was like, well, where's Coach Steele? Where is he?
Well, and that leads me to this other question. This new regime has prided itself on not having issues like this, and yet here we are. I mean, whether they had to sit on it in June to wait to see how it played out, or for whatever reason, it is no good having to get rid of a coach literally on the eve of camp, basically. And Glenn's already talked about it, the effect on the tight end room, and the fact that that's one of the most important battles for this whole team, because there is at least one spot, maybe two. I would think it's two. I would think they're going to carry 4 tight ends. I might be wrong on that. But there's one pass-catching tight end who we feel like we can count on. There's one blocking tight end that we feel like we can count on. And the rest is kind of up in the air here. And that's sort of my frustration is, how does it affect how they're going to evaluate this now that it is mostly Wes Welker's responsibility, even if he's not the coach. And again, this is such an important season for everybody, something we've talked about on this show and other shows, and you just don't need stuff like this when there's so much on the line this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's why they got him out. I mean, unfortunately, it was a new coach. You try to work with people. I'm not sure of his past. Let me also say that. I don't know his past. I don't know if he's had a history of these types of things. But hey, when you see something, say something. At least they got him out now, right? And we're not hearing in week 5 that he's riding around drunk in Loudoun County or hanging out at bars, sitting on the ground drunk, like in previous years with previous coaching staffs, right?
Right.
So, because we've heard those stories before too. So it's just, get them out now. And, the practices still need to continue. Things still need to keep going. But I'm not seeing, it was only 2 weeks, right, where I didn't see him. But I had not seen an issue with the tight end group as a result of him not being there. Now that's another thing, right? Like, did he even add any real value? Because I didn't see.
You didn't see a drop off.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Paul. Wes may be an upgrade.
Yeah, I didn't see like, dang, what happened to them? It wasn't. No, I didn't see it at all. And I still think what is key, yes, they need a coach. They need the coach. Right now, it is Wes Welker who will work with them. So that'll be interesting to see who actually comes into, or who is actually named the tight ends coach. But what I am looking at is still that time on task. So Jaden and company working with his offensive guys, during, out in LA for a few days. Those are the things that are still going to really matter to these guys. And so I